Hey SK fans, Leonix here. I'm joined by LemonNation after amazing win with Veigar support. Please tell me about that.
Well, it's situationally extremely strong, Veigar support. It's basically, if you have a lot of like follow up for it, like skill shots and things like that, then can follow it up from range without all inning. It's extremely strong.
Is that kind of like you spammed it over like a couple like days or weeks, or how much planning was there for this Veigar support, this Yordle in command?
Gorilla pulled it out, and Gorilla is an amazing innovator. So I saw him play it, and then I basically spammed it this last week. Like I played it a lot in solo queue. I'm sure they saw me playing it, so they probably expected it coming.
Is there like a particular build that you go on, or is it just like you just rely on that 80% like scaling of the AP?
I basically always go Shrelia's or Talisman. Talisman is what I meant. Having that to kind of throw down the stun and then either run away if they're trying to engage after the stun is down, because you don't actually do anything when your stun's down, or just to use it to catch people with the stun is just so important.
Is that just kind of like a common thing for your team, Cloud9? I know that you are kind of like this innovator, and you kind of like find out the new things in the meta for your team, especially like the whole LemonNation notebook, right? Is this kind of like a thing where, oh, we're going to play Veigar support and build a team comp around it? Or is it kind of just like, we're going to do this, but we're going to throw in a mixture of this support?
I wouldn't call myself an innovator on this because I did not innovate this. This is Gorilla innovating it. I guess picked it up faster than other people and I did, but at least as far as I've seen, we actually haven't seen the rest of the teams play yet, so maybe someone else will play it today. But yeah, you need a comp around it. It doesn't really work if you don't have the follow up for the stun, like the correct kind of champions to do that. It's not going to work. You can't just throw it wherever you want.
So like I noticed that in a couple different games, the casters are always talking about, oh yeah, LemonNation's gonna build that banner of command, or like kind of like this off meta item builds. So I saw your Veigar support, and I was wondering if there was kind of like the strategy of where you don't necessarily send a carry to like do like a slow push out of lane or something like that, and kind of like set up for another play. Do you just like send yourself down there and just like kind of like stun the minion wave, so that way it like kind of pushes back towards you or something? Is there this next level strategy that I don't know of?
The only time you're really stunning the minion wave is if they're like trying to do a push and you're just delaying it for like a second. There's not really like any like stun it to create any push situation or control the creeps. Yeah.
Was there any particular like strategy besides the Veigar support coming into this match?
Anything like different? Or I mean, there's definitely more strategy like around it. Like we have Zed and Italy together, so Zed doesn't really need blue buffs. We can give it to Italy, which is very nice. He also lets us open up to pick Corki, which gives us more poke, which is quite nice since we have the Zed for 80 damage. And then Maokai gives us kind of the choice if we want to kind of peel or engage. He kind of gives us this just really strong champion that can either peel or go in.
I know that I've actually talked to a couple of your players from Cloud9, and they said that at the beginning of the season with that kind of like rough start that you guys kind of got complacent. Is that true? Is that the same with you?
I think it's more that we were just kind of struggling as a team. Like we were losing scrims, losing games, kind of going until as a team, and just not having the kind of correct shot calling, communication. We weren't talking enough. We just weren't playing as well as we were at our peak. I think it basically comes down to kind of team tilt.
Team tilt. I know the last time that we've talked, it was actually at IEM San Jose. With that kind of like team tilt, I guess, do you feel that you guys are kind of like coming back and getting in the move of things? I know that there's kind of like the statistical information about like Cloud9 having the most dragons, and is this like kind of a meta shift for you guys that you're trying to be on top of, or is it kind of like, oh, this is our weakness that kind of got nerfed, or because it's not as snowballing anymore with the gold?
Yeah. Dragon is definitely a lot weaker now. The benefits from getting it are just not as prevalent, so it's just not it removes a lot of an objective that used to kind of be like our play was always focused around getting the objectives, and now Dragon just isn't very important. The second tier turrets are basically impossible to get, so there's just not as many objectives to get on the map. There's basically only the 3 outer turrets, and way later in the game there's Baron. So it kind of encourages just kind of like the sit back and wait for late game kind of comps, which we've always kind of excelled on the objective based.
Makes sense. Now that you guys are coming back into the season, picking up your wins. Now here's my question. I know that High is the shot caller. Let's say everyone kind of like understands that. But are you kind of like a big voice on the team as well, being the support, being that theory crafter, bringing in the new stuff? I know that you said you weren't an innovator, but you are bringing in the Veigar support. So is that just like, hey, I'm gonna flash stun right now. I'm just gonna 100-0 this guy. I'll take off like a carry.
Actually, like in the game, I'm definitely not like good at shotcalling or anything like that. So I don't do that. I basically just do kind of try to keep people on top of the meta and decide like the early game stuff, like where we're going in lanes and stuff like that. And then past that, it's basically all High and Medios.
Fair enough. I know that Charlie is now seen on stage and kind of has this coaching role in the picks and bans. Do you feel that with the new addition of the coaches like on stage, it kind of like, I don't know, nerfs your team a little bit with your insightfulness on picks and bans?
No, I don't think so, because Charlie is an extremely effective like analyst. He's very good at it, and having him on stage benefits us just as much as it benefits other teams. I would say that I don't really know how good of the other analysts on other teams are, but I imagine some of them probably aren't that great. Like I don't actually know. I'm just like I don't talk to them, so I can't like say this for sure. But I'm assuming there aren't like enough good ones to support like 10 teams in NA. So I'm going off an assumption there, but I don't know.
All right, so actually, in the community, we kind of like have this general conception that Cloud9 is really good at being decisive. Is this still true and holds true to your play, or is it kind of gotten like this distrust from High or something like that, or is it just the same and you're just kind of like working around the meta?
I think we've definitely had issues some games where we weren't very decisive, but if we're playing well together, if we're in like a good mood together and like playing on top of our game, we definitely still have the decisiveness. We just have to always do that, not just sometimes.
All right, last question. Here's another like kind of thing that I really want to know about Cloud9 success as well. I'm filling the pieces of a puzzle, I guess, as a team. I've always talked to players about how a certain player can be super good, right? Like amazing player. You can take all the best players in the world and kind of like put them together and see if like they can make a great team. Does this work for Cloud9, or is it just, it's the success rides on the 5 members? That's it. You can't. Each member is irreplaceable. If you guys made a roster change, it wouldn't be the same. You might even have a downfall, or you guys like fit well.
I wouldn't say that. There's always like a possibility that a roster change definitely could work, but you'd have to make sure you still have all of the elements. Like you couldn't just randomly like remove High and put some random mid in there. Like if you don't have someone that like initiates like High does or shot calls like High does, then our team won't work. Like we'll falter extremely hard. And as long as you keep like all of the elements of a team together, you have like all of the necessary like shot calling. You don't have too many like egos like fighting together. You have the kind of correct elements that a team needs. I think a team will work. So as long as you're like putting the puzzle pieces together correctly, you can do that.
Is it safe to say that if I see probuilds.net and see something spammed amazingly, like just ridiculously, just expect that's gonna happen this week?
I wouldn't say that. Not 100%. No, definitely not.
I'm sure there'll be like an enjoyable target ban very soon if that happens. All right, guys, if you want more coverage just like this, be sure to check out SK Gaming on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. Other than that, till next time.